When it comes to reality television, this show was once at the top, but after the pandemic, Love and Hip Hop has become nothing short of a flop. Let's discuss. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Beasley here. Hope you all are staying cool, calm, and collected out there. I wanted to go ahead and stay in the same realm of reality television and talk to you guys about the current state of Love and Hip Hop. Now, if you guys don't know, I am a Love and Hip Hop historian. I watched Love and Hip Hop from the very beginning. And after a little bit of a hiatus during the 2020 pandemic, Love and Hip Hop came back. Well, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta came back. And it is just not good. Now, to keep it all the way real with y'all, Love and Hip Hop as a whole has been on the decline for quite some time. But we still had memorable characters, a part of the cast that we know and love, and would tune in to watch because of brand loyalty and our loyalty to that character and also the antics that character puts on. And say what you want about Love and Hip Hop, yes, it does make black people look bad sometimes, and it is a borderline coonish show at times. But however, Love and Hip Hop has brought a lot of entertainment to a lot of households. And despite all the negative qualities of Love and Hip Hop, it is one of the biggest reality shows in reality television history, highest rated, if I add. And on top of that, it has been a springboard to not only breed and elevate new talent, but also revitalize a lot of people's careers. But it revitalized careers if done right. Now, if you guys don't mind, I just want to take a little trip down memory lane and talk about the beginnings of Love and Hip Hop and talk about my feelings and opinions on each leg of the franchise. So Love and Hip Hop New York was the very first Love and Hip Hop show overall that spawned a whole bunch of spinoffs. Love and Hip Hop New York originally was going to be Chrissy and Mr. Jones, Chrissy and Jim Jones' story. However, when they started filming that show, Jim Jones was drunk, belligerent, he was an asshole to the production crew, and he overall kind of chased everybody off of his premises, and the show got scrapped. But however, with the footage they got, they noticed the diamond that they had, because there was not a show that showcased Love and Hip Hop. So they reluctantly went back to Jim Jones' premises and they got him to agree to a show that would showcase his love life with Chrissy and Jim Jones, and they also brought in some other characters they knew as well. Now, this show came on a long time ago, but from what I remember, Chrissy and Jim Jones were the main characters. They had Emily B, they had Olivia from G Unit, they had, off the top of my head, they had Samaya Reese. Samaya Reese I loved way back in the MySpace days. They had Rich Dollars, who became one of the biggest staples in Love and Hip Hop. Literally the mascot of Love and Hip Hop, if you ask me. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the first season mainly centered also around Mashonda. If you guys don't remember Mashonda, she was a one-hit wonder. She had that song Back at the Club. It was always #1 on 106 & Park, and she is also the woman that Alicia Keys stole Swiss Beats from. But yeah, Love and Hip Hop New York, the first season, it was on shaky ground. Everybody was trying to figure out the logistics of the show and what they wanted to convey. Everybody was a season 1 bitch. But season 2 is when that show really popped off. I will say that's when they brought in Erica Mena. Erica Mena, she was good for her first season, and then, in my opinion, the show just went down when she became the integral part, when they were pushing her over everybody else and firing the original cast. And I'm going to get into Erica Mena a little bit later, but I will say season 2, when Kim Bella got her ass beat by Chrissy, that was the best season of Love and Hip Hop New York as a whole. But like I said, the problem with New York is they got rid of almost everybody from the season 2 cast. They let Chrissy and Jim go. They let Olivia go. Olivia didn't really bring much, but they let her go. They also let Samaya Reese go. Mainly because she called Mona Scott Hung a bitch on television. And yes, I call Mona Scott Young Mona Scott Hung because she has a big metaphorical dick that just mindfucks everybody to acting a complete fool on live television for a check. And I may be getting off topic a little bit, but I think Mona Scott Young is not even in charge of anything that has to do with Love and Hip Hop at all. She may still get some credit from it, but she kind of stepped away from the franchise because you can kind of see that in the beginning when she was actually hosting the reunions, she was trying to get her Andy Cohen on. I think she soon realized that America will accept a catty white gay man exploiting black women versus an actual black woman exploiting black women. But yeah, I got off track because Love and Hip Hop New York was a little boring. It was boring for a very, very long time, especially when the whole entire Tara, Amina, and Peter situation happened. That was just enough of this. But last year, they did try to bring back majority of the season 2 cast and right the wrongs with Love and Hip Hop New York. And it really seemed like Love and Hip Hop New York was getting back on its feet. I was thoroughly enjoying the season, even though it was stretched out way too long and they were trying to do a part 2 to that season, but Miss Rona put an end to all of that. And currently, Love and Hip Hop New York is, with the rest of the shows, besides Atlanta, is left in limbo. But that brings me to Atlanta, y'all. Atlanta, its first season out the gate, became really, honestly, truthfully, put Love and Hip Hop on the map. Everybody was like, what is this show? It was like the biggest like soap opera. Y'all, I can't, the first season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta really spoke to me, like my inner ratchetness, my inner just hood booger. Like it just did something to me. Like I hold that season near and dear to my heart because after every episode, the first episode, let me rewind 1 second. When Love and Hip Hop ATL first debuted, before it debuted, there was a lot of buzz. Like they had leaked the cast. And everybody was disappointed because we were like, who are these people? Like, I knew who Lil Scrappy was and I knew who K Michelle was. But besides that, everybody else that was on that roster list, we were just like, Harpo, who are these women? And I also did know Rashida as well. I briefly knew her from the Pull on My Bubble Gum and yada yada, whatever else she had. But y'all, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta sparked with Stevie J, Jocelyn, and Mimi. That little throuple, that triangle, because you can't tell me they didn't have a threesome. But that whole entire three-way love affair was like the meat in the heart of all of Love and Hip Hop. Y'all, Jocelyn has a lot of fault with her, but she has this Wendy Williams effect to where she can just do and say whatever she wants, and she gets a lot of backlash, but somehow, some way, she always finds a way back into our hearts. But Love and Hip Hop Atlanta spawned many great characters like your Mama D's, your Karen Kings, your Erica Dixons, Shay Bucky Johnson. She got her career revitalized from, where was she on? Flavor of Love. Yeah, she became a household name with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, despite being known for bad wigs and bad fashions. But I say all that to say Love and Hip Hop Atlanta had an amazing cast of characters, even Carly Red's bird ass. But the problem with it today is, like I've said before, when it comes to Atlanta, like, there's no more milk in the udder. There's no more water in the cactus. Like, Atlanta has been bled dry of talent, reality television talent and content. It's just like Atlanta doesn't feel like Atlanta anymore. This current season, you have everybody from the New York franchise, because let's keep it real, New York is probably not coming back. You have everybody migrating from there on down to Atlanta, and they just do not fit. Yandy and Mendices do not fit in Atlanta. Erica Mena and Safari do not fit in Atlanta. None of the New York people need to be in Atlanta. It just does not feel right at all. And the show does not feel like it's even shot in Atlanta. And then Ciara, like, no shade to Ciara. I don't know how she weaseled her way into being like an integral part of this show. Like, I have nothing bad against her. I mean, she's funny to laugh at with her voice. She just sounds so dingy to me. But and don't even get me started with Kirk and Rashida. Kirk and Rashida should have been out of here after season 1. Where is that baby that he had with that stripper? I would really like to know. And it's just like, what is really going on with Atlanta? The editing is very choppy. The storylines this season are boring. And y'all, I'm sorry, I'm tired of the Black Lives Matter storylines. I'm sorry. I'm all for the cause and the movement, not the organization. But I don't want to see this in a show that has offered me nothing but ratchet behavior throughout how many years? Almost 10? I don't want to see it. It's like they took our suggestions with ushering in new characters, but these new characters are boring. Like, no shade to them. I mean, not everybody is entertaining in real life. Like, I feel like my real life is boring. But these new girls on the show, they're cool. I like that they're trying to get it out the mud and like really get their careers popping, but their storylines are dumb. Like, nobody cares. Overall, this current season of Atlanta is just, it's boring. Erica Mena and Safari, they're in one of the fakest storylines I've ever seen of all time. There's no issue between those two.
It was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
They literally hop from city to city because this is it for them. Love and Hip Hop is it for them. And it's just funny to me that Erica, many moons ago, when she was living it up with Bow Wow, said that anybody that goes back to Love and Hip Hop clearly needs to check. And that is clearly you and Safari. You guys have hopped from city to city just so you guys can keep on getting in this little minuscule check from VH1. So don't talk down on the check when you're the one that needs it. And I want to briefly talk about Hollywood and Miami. Y'all, Hollywood was consistently good. I love that one season. I believe it was season 4. Whenever they were accusing Lyrica Anderson of cheating with Safari against A1, and then K. Michelle was in that season, that was the best season of Hollywood out of every single leg of the franchise. Even if Hollywood was boring, they always delivered in the reunions though. But Hollywood mainly consisted of Ray J, Soulja Boy, Omarion, like heavy hitters. The girls, Tierra Marie. This show completely ruined Tierra Marie's life, if you ask me. Floyd Mayweather's concubines, Princess Love. Who else was on the first season? I think I pretty much named everybody, but Hollywood had the heavy hitters, and Hollywood was mainly popping because it was nice to see a good, like, behind-the-scenes movement of what really goes on in Hollywood. Hollywood was the first franchise that even ushered in, like, a male-on-male, like, relationship, which was nice to see, even though it ended up being just for TV. It was just like Miles and Milan, a disappointment. But overall, Hollywood is where I noticed like the whole entire decline of the Love and Hip Hop franchise, because it was taken over by Big Fish Entertainment. And I remember that last season of Hollywood, we thought it was going to be just like amazing. Like all the B2K was supposed to be on it, and then you know, with the whole entire mess between them and Omarion and Raz B. Raz B was supposed to be on that season. They had the issue with April Jones that was playing out with social media, her and Lil Fizz being trolls. And then we had Moniece on there going after Lil Fizz and April. And then we also allegedly were supposed to get more of Black China on there too. But Big Fish ruined it, y'all. Big Fish ruined Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Big Fish turned it into just a complete shit show. Like, it was just like, what is this? That season ushered in a lot of characters too. A lot of characters that we ended up not giving a fuck about. And it's just hard to say. The Big Fish, from what I remember, is a crew of a bunch of white people. A lot of white people trying to be handlers for this show. It's just going to be a recipe of nothingness. In regards to Miami, I kind of feel like Miami was slowly finding its footing, especially during the second season and when Trina was actually starting to show up to work. I will say Miami was really, really going to be elevated. The one thing that I liked about Miami is that they all kind of felt like a dysfunctional family compared to every other leg of the franchise. But also with Miami, I'm not going to talk about every single character because this video is already getting a little long. But I will say Miami was really starting to find its footing up until the pandemic hit. But when the pandemic came around, it just felt like the whole entire cast was just falling apart. I mean, Trina was facing a lot of backlash for talking bad against the Black Lives Matter protesters. Trick Daddy was facing backlash for talking bad about Beyonce. We had Sukihana, Bobby Lights, and Prince all busting it wide open on OnlyFans during the pandemic. We had that one white Latina facing backlash for saying the N-word and then claiming to be Afro-Latino. Then we had Amarla Negra facing backlash for being annoying. But I will say, Miami, even though they had promised, that leg of the franchise in this current state is just a wash. And that brings me to, what exactly is the future of Love and Hip Hop? If you guys don't know, now this is all alleged, but if you guys follow and watch Funky Dineva, love Funky Dineva, love him to pieces, he revealed on one of his videos from a very reliable source that Love and Hip Hop is done. Like, they're going to find a way to close it on out. And especially with the abysmal ratings and the abysmal performance of this current season of Atlanta, I can see the show being canceled. They even tried it with that whole entire Love and Hip Hop Fame Reunion thing. I mean, I didn't watch that show. I mean, it was cool to get the cast back together after some time for being apart so everybody can make some money, but a wash. But overall, y'all, Love and Hip Hop is done. It's just done. I don't know how it could be salvaged. I don't think it can be salvaged. Like, some things are just not meant to last forever. Like, that's the problem with VH1. They had a good thing going with all their shows, and they just kept on running it and running it and burning it out and burning it out, relying on the same people to deliver the same performance, and now they're all in a hole with all of their programming. I will always respect VH1 as a network. VH1 has entertained me throughout majority in the beginning of my teenage to adult years. But I just think VH1, the people behind the scenes, they just need to really either bring in some new blood or just go back to the drawing board and like create some new content that's actually with the times and what people actually want to see. Now, a lot of people could argue that love and hip hop is not needed because it makes black people look bad, especially in today's climate, but I mean, we do need a balance. The only way I can see them rebranding this show is just calling it like hip hop. Really just going behind the scenes of what these new artists are facing and documenting their lives and helping these artists elevate their whole entire brand and careers. I mean, trust with the plus. Like, I'm halfway foot into the industry and I can say there's a lot of mess that goes on behind the scenes. So why not shift focus into catching that? That way we can see these artists growing and also seeing the issues that they face navigating this industry. But that's just my opinion. I mean, who am I? I'm just a man on a couch at the end of the day. But those are my views on Love and Hip Flop. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to come at you guys with some more content.